So once again, thank you for joining us to learn about the undergraduate transfer scholarship. The application actually opened already in late August, so we're excited to share some information with you today. Our scholarship is unique in that it is a last dollar scholarship, and we're going to take some time to explain what our scholarship benefits are, a little bit about the program, definitely talk about the application and selection processes, how students apply, how to understand the different parts of the application, and also how we select our scholars, and a little bit of advice. And like I said, we will finish up the time together today with some Q&A, and I'll try to get to as many questions live as possible. So really appreciate you typing in your questions, and we'll try to address as many as we can. So a little bit about the scholarship. What are the benefits of the scholarship? The financial support as part of the scholarship program is up to $40,000 per year to transfer to a four-year college or university in the United States. I mentioned that our scholarship is a last dollar scholarship, so this means that scholars apply for financial aid from their institution, and once aid has been granted, then the Cook Scholarship steps in to pay the difference or the remaining gap up to the amount of $40,000. This means that in any given year, a student might need, just $5,000 or maybe all $40,000, and we have students in all those situations every year, and that's what we're happy to provide support for. Our higher education finance staff work closely with the colleges and universities to advocate, negotiate, and finalize award amounts. The Cook Scholarship also pays for more than just tuition, room and board. We actually contribute to the full cost of attendance, often referred to as COA, which can include miscellaneous fees, things like books and technology, even travel fees in the case of certain colleges and universities, depending on their policies. So that's a really nice feature of this scholarship. It's not just limited to tuition, room and board. And one of the benefits of having such a generous scholarship that you don't have to reapply for is that for the length of your undergraduate studies, you have freedom to focus on learning and not worry so much about finances. So our scholarship, like I said, has to be used at a four-year accredited undergraduate institution. The other feature of our scholarship program is that all scholars have access to an advising team, and our advising team is on standby to help students navigate, college course schedules, understanding especially about transitioning into a college, a four-year university in college, which is very different from a community college a campus setting, and also understanding financial aid, trying to maximize college opportunities like study abroad and internships, and certainly understanding the resources that are available at the foundation. The other feature of the scholarship is that upon graduation, transfer scholars can apply for graduate school funding, which is a very generous award of up to $50,000 a year for 4 years. So a lot of people don't know that this is an added benefit. Students do have to apply for this funding, but many of our transfer scholars go on to get graduate degrees in business, health, arts, education, and more. That's the other thing that I think I see several questions already is, are there particular majors that are limited, that are the scholarship is limited to? And that is no, there isn't. And so that it's the same goes for graduate school funding as well. Again, there's a lot of freedom with this the Cook Undergraduate Transfer Scholarship, and that we're really looking for students to maximize their opportunities for learning, and it can be from any discipline or field of study. The other benefit of becoming a Cook Scholar is that you can attend our orientation weekend. We call it Scholars Weekend appropriately, and it happens over the summer. So every summer we invite over 400 Cook Scholars to gather in the Washington, D.C. area. It's an all-expense paid trip and weekend, and it's pretty incredible because you get to meet all the other students that are selected that year from not only your program but all of our programs, and get to meet with the foundation staff and participate in different leadership workshops and experiences. And it is an orientation weekend, so we'll walk you through how to access your advisor and maximize the award, and really what it means to be a Cook Scholar. The Cook Scholar community is growing every year. We select across our 3 programs that we have anywhere from 200 to 300 scholars every year. So we have about almost 900 scholars that are active at any given time, because our awards are multi-year and very generous. And we also have a network of over 1,000 alumni all across the country and around the world. So we're really proud that this is a growing community, and a lot of people say that the money is nice, but it's really this community of scholars and peers and friends that really make the program and the award that much more valuable and even priceless. The scholar community also provides opportunities beyond just what the foundation provides. We have a lot of programs and partners and opportunities that we share with our scholars as part of our program. But just being part of the Scholar Network, we've had alumni give jobs and internships to younger students, and students also get together in different regional and local areas to give back to the community, to do outreach, just to get together and support one another. We've had alumni do presentations on college access, and we've also had many scholars, found their own nonprofit organizations at grassroots and national levels. So who is a Cook Scholar? It's time to get into some of the nitty gritty of eligibility and who are we looking for. I talked about the program benefits. It's obviously to use scholarship money to go study at a 4-year institution and get a bachelor's, but who are we looking for? So I'm going to go through the eligibility requirements, the technical eligibility requirements, and talk a little more anecdotally about who is a good fit for this scholarship program. So first of all, we're looking for students to be currently enrolled at a United States community college or 2-year institution, and have attained sophomore status, or have accumulated similar number of credit hours. You can also be a recent graduate, so maybe you attended community college within the last 5 years and received your associate's degree or your 2-year degree. That's fine, and you are you're still eligible to apply to this scholarship. So academic achievement is a big part of the selection and eligibility of this award. Students, when they apply, must have a minimum 3.5 GPA on a 4.80 scale. We know that there's certain schools that have maybe some exceptions and different ways that they calculate these things, but that is our general guideline. If you have any questions about your eligibility, we encourage you to call our call center. I'll share that number again in a little bit. The other eligibility piece, which doesn't apply to many people, is that you must not have been previously nominated for the undergraduate transfer scholarship. So this is actually several years ago when we first began the scholarship, we required a community college faculty member to nominate you. That is no longer the case, and that hasn't been the case for the past few years. But if you were nominated, let's say 5-6 years ago, then you are not eligible to apply. That said, if you applied, let's say last year or 2 years ago, and you weren't nominated, you just applied because we didn't have a nomination process, but you still meet all the criteria, you are welcome to apply. Perhaps you made it to semifinalist status, but you didn't get the award. If you still have not began your studies at a 4-year college or university, then you are welcome to resubmit an application with updated information. So as I mentioned, the other piece of eligibility is that you plan to enroll at a full-time bachelor's program at a 4-year college or university that is accredited in the United States, and if that wasn't a mouthful, it also has to be fall of 2017. So students must plan to transfer and begin at the school in fall 2017. We will not grant the scholarship to students who plan to begin the 4-year college experience or their studies in the spring of 2017. So I know some folks finish up and half in the middle of the year or do spring transfers. This award unfortunately cannot be applied to that, and we know that that's a little bit difficult. But as I mentioned earlier, we host something called Scholars Weekend. Our program is more about more than just the money. We are looking to admit a cohort of scholars. So it is really important that students enter at the same time and then matriculate into their four-year colleges at the same time too for the experience. Applicants must be at a current, accredited a community college. If you have any questions about whether your school that you are at right now, is eligible, right, to have a Cook Scholar applicant, you can call our call center. Our call center number is 1-800-941-3300. So, we know that there are some, unique situations. And if you ever have any, doubt about whether you're eligible or your school is eligible, feel free to give us a call. So the other really important piece about eligibility and the scholarship is financial need. This is a merit scholarship, but it's a merit scholarship for students who are from low-income backgrounds or demonstrate financial need. There's a lot of financial need. There's varying degrees of it. Our definition for financial need, our eligibility requirement, is that your family makes no more than $95,000 a year annually. We know that it's sort of, if you make $95,000 and 100, we know that that's there's a little bit of a gray area. So we ask you to use your discretion and judgment and just give us a call if you have any doubt whether you should apply for the scholarship or not. But that's a pretty generous ceiling that we put for our eligibility. And we usually have a much lower average income for our incoming class. It usually hovers closer to $25,000 to $30,000 a year. And that gives you an indication of the kind of need that we would like to see in the scholarship recipients. We really want to give this generous award to people who are really going to need it and who can maximize it the most. So that does mean, the average that I just said, that does mean that we had people who had family incomes lower than that and also a little higher than that. So for eligibility, if you're under $95,000 a year, and you meet all the other criteria, please do consider applying. So I spoke a little bit about the eligibility criteria. So now I'm going to just go over what the 5 pillars of our selection criteria. And this is what we use as sort of the basic rubric for our selection committee. And our selection committee is comprised of the top admissions officers all across the country from four-year institutions and also representatives from the community college pipeline. So we rely on their expertise to come join us and review all applications. Actually, the admissions officers are usually very curious to see our scholars because they represent the best and the brightest from community colleges each year, and many of our students go on to attend those schools. So in terms of selection criteria, our selection committee and the foundation staff, we're looking obviously for achievement and academic ability. As I mentioned, this is a merit scholarship, but there's also a need component. So the second most important thing that we're looking at is financial need. We really want to award this to families who need it, to students who have demonstrated excellence and just need the money to go to the schools and get their bachelor's. In terms of more qualitative things that we're looking from the candidates, we're looking for persistence, and that's demonstrated through essays and narrative, descriptions of what the student has done. Also looking at, their performance in school, and what they've done on campus. Also leadership. And there's many different kinds of leadership, so we're not looking for a laundry list of positions or titles that you've held, but as a student or applicant, we're definitely looking for signs of demonstrated leadership, and whether that's influencing a group of students in a very positive way, or being a leader in the community, in your home, on campus. Certainly we would like to see things like that. And then finally, a desire to help others. If you're following along online and looking at the PowerPoint, I'm actually showing a picture of Emily Hadeen, who's one of our graduate scholars, who's one of our scholars who got the graduate award as well. And she spent an incredible amount of time abroad, just starting up her own nonprofit and things like that. So not that it's a requirement to start your own nonprofit, but we're definitely looking for unique and individual ways that applicants are looking to contribute to the greater community, and that could be their neighborhood, it could be on a national scale, it could be at their school in different ways. So that gives you a glimpse of what we're looking for qualitatively, and also, technically for the eligibility. So how do we get to all of that? So some things that are important to note is that the application is completely online, and it's open now. And these are the different application components, and that help us get to that selection criteria, help us get to an understanding of who the student is. So obviously we're going to be asking for official transcripts, and if you've attended multiple institutions that are of higher ed, we're not looking for high school information for this scholarship because it's a community transfer scholarship. We are looking for transcripts from every higher education or college institution that you've ever attended. So community college, if you've attended 2 community colleges, for example, we need to see transcripts from all of those institutions. We're also looking for a record of academics, of activities and honors, extracurricular activities that you've done. And as I mentioned, we're looking for some qualitative information about the candidate. So we're looking for responses for our short answer and essay questions. We also require 2 recommendations from community college faculty, and then of course financial forms. And these are the 5 big components of the application that help us understand the candidate's background and their achievement, as well as financial need. For financial forms, we do require information from your parent unless you are completely independent. And if you go to the financial section of the application, you will see all the different kinds of guidance and indicators. So if you answer certain questions, and it'll prompt you to, to submit your parents' information, information for your guardians, that kind of thing, if that applies to you. So I'm going to get into a little bit more technical things as well. I see a lot of good questions popping up about the application, and I'll actually show you the application very briefly if you're following us on screen. You can get to the application by going to our main website, which is, you can just type in jkcf.org and go to scholarship programs, or jkcf.org. You can type in transfer, which is a shortcut, and it takes you to our main page for the undergraduate transfer scholarship. You see there's a big orange button that says apply now, and the application is open, and that'll click out to the application site, which will look like this. And if you haven't created an account, I encourage you to do so. I actually went ahead and created an account already using my Google, which is nice. And this is what you'll see. Disregard the Young Scholars. It shows that it's one of our other scholarship programs. But you'll see the scholarship program that's listed here. Make sure that you are applying for the Undergraduate Transfer Scholarship 2017. And then you can start your profile. You can save your information and revisit. We do not expect you to finish the application in one sitting, and nor should you. It is a pretty long application. And so I've already completed something called an eligibility quiz. So here you see that it says, congratulations, your answers to the eligibility quiz indicate that you are eligible to apply, et cetera, et cetera. If you're logging in for the first time, our system will require you to take an eligibility quiz. And we do this so that, we don't want, there's a lot of information about this scholarship. It's very technical. It is, we want to make sure that we're not wasting people's time. So we encourage you to start, open an account and walk through the eligibility quiz, which should take no longer than a few minutes, probably 2 tops. You just answer a couple questions and we'll let you know, yes, you're eligible. Please continue with the application. If you have any issues with the application at any given time, again, we encourage you to call our call center. The number is 1-800-941-3300, or you can shoot an email to scholarships@jkcf.org. That's pretty easy to remember. So just shoot an email saying, oh, I tried to open an account, or I had trouble with an eligibility quiz answer. You can let us know. So just very briefly, I talked about the application components, but you can see that the application online has different parts. It has your profile information, which is pre-populated with your first and last name, but you have to fill in some other information like your address. There's 2 important pieces I want to point out. There's the parent information request. So depending on your family situation, if you're 1 household, 2 households, or you are independent for whatever reason, then we'll ask for an explanation and you won't have to provide your parents' information. But most folks will be providing parent or guardian information, one or two, depending on your situation. And then your parent needs to supply, you need to supply a unique address, email address for your parent, because your parent is going to use their email to log in and complete their part, which is some financial information. They will not see the rest of your application. You won't be able to see their information. Of course, you can help your parent complete the form, and work together on it. And they just have to complete their part. And once their part is completed, you'll actually see that on your application. The second important part is that you should do as quickly as possible is the recommendation request. So you'll see that for every applicant, there's 2 recommendations needed. On the application, it says recommendation 1, recommendation 2. We just need a first, last name, and an email. Just like with your parent portion, your recommenders will get an automatic email message to their email address saying, so-and-so has requested a recommendation. Please click here to log in and complete the recommendation. You will not be able to see your recommendations, but you will see that the recommendations have been completed, which is important. And this is where I would, encourage you to follow up with your recommenders to make sure that they got that initial email and just, make sure that they know where to click to submit their recommendations. Other than that, those first 2 sections, everything else is pretty self-explanatory and straightforward. The essay questions are there, activities. You put in your honors, and there's some check boxes to tell us what situations apply to you. We also do ask you for, as an applicant, what your college plans are, and this is a required section. We know that in the fall, and our application opened early, some folks might not have completed their applications to their 4 years yet, and that is fine. But we do want to know that you have plans to transfer to a 4-year college or university in fall of 2017. And this is a very important part of your application. The reviewers will be looking at where you want to go, why you want to go there. There's a field where we ask you how you've thoughtfully thought about where you go. We will not judge you or penalize you for your choice in colleges. But I would say here is where, if you only are applying to one college, please provide a robust explanation as to why you're only applying to one college. In general, our advice to all transfer students is to apply to a few schools so that they have options and also can maximize financial awards wherever possible. Of course, we ask for academics, some survey information, and then you can review your application and submit it. All parts of the application have to be completed by the deadline. We don't have separate deadlines for different parts of the application. So when you mark your calendars, make sure you mark your calendars for everyone and let everyone know that everything is due. So your recommendations all are due at the same time that your parent request forms are due, and also your part of the application. So I'm going to jump back. A couple of pieces of advice then. I already gave you a few regarding, entering the recommenders information and navigating the application. Start your account. Make sure you start. We'll actually be sending a lot of reminders throughout the application period. So it's in your best interest to not delay and just go ahead and start the account, go through the eligibility quiz so that you're eligible, then you can work on the other different pieces of the application. The other part is to follow through. So as I mentioned, you won't be able to see your recommendations. You can't see your parent forms necessarily, but obviously you can help your parents and guardians out as needed. But it's also good to follow up and remind folks and also create reminders for yourself. We actually have a lot of students who complete, 50, 60% of the application, and they just sort of fall behind. We know it's a really busy time in the fall with back to school, but we do encourage applicants to take the time to really craft their essays, to have thoughtful answers. We do read everything, and if something is missing, then, we can't consider the application complete. So things like getting your transcripts in, making sure that, all those different sections, like where you tell us about your honors and your leadership experiences, even the short answer responses, what was your community college experience like? We ask that for a reason, because we will be evaluating applications based on your responses. So make sure that you have enough time and follow through with completing the different sections. And finally, the deadline. The deadline this year is October 25th. It is earlier than in previous years because we opened the application earlier. Many students start, they get very far, but they missed a deadline, or because they waited to the last minute, they're scrambling and something didn't go right. We know technology can be a little bit of a rival sometimes. So again, I would encourage you to do your due diligence and make sure that you communicate with your faculty and your recommenders, because those are very important pieces. Make sure you get your financial information all ready, so that there's nothing missing. And as I said earlier, all parts of the application are due by October 25th. So there's not a separate deadline or a later deadline for transcripts and things like that. Everything has to be submitted in that one online application. Quick overview of timeline before I go into more specifics and start answering questions. So the application has already opened. If you're a community college representative or you're an applicant, make sure that you know that the application is open right now, and you can go to our website to make sure that you get to the right button to start the application. The deadline is noon Eastern Standard Time on October 25th, 2016. We will not be issuing any extensions. And what happens after that is we go through a verification process that takes a while. We get a lot of applications, and we want to make sure that everything looks good. And we'll, if there's an upload that didn't, is not showing up clearly, that's maybe when we'll contact you individually. But make sure that everything is submitted by October 25th. And then January is when we'll invite our selection committee to do reading, and we'll read all the applications. And we really try to get our semifinalists, which is our top 600 applications that will move on to consideration, finalized in those early winter months. And we do that so that we can let you know that you've been named a semifinalist and that you're still in consideration for the scholarship award. You can share that information with four-year colleges or universities that you're applying to. We know that means a great deal, especially as college admissions offices go into their second committee reads in February and really try to figure out who to not only admit, but also give financial awards to. And, being a Jack Hancock semifinalist carries a lot of weight and hopefully will help you enhance your application. And then early April 2017 is when scholarship recipients will be notified. And we do that so that you have some time to review and be able to take your award and tell your four-year college that you will be coming in as a Jack Hancock Scholar. So a couple of reminders, we actually have another webinar. So if you work with students or you're a parent and maybe you missed part of the webinar, we'll do this again with a little bit more information at the end of the month. So please feel free to register for that. If you have any outreach or community college questions, if you're a faculty at a community college, please feel free to reach out to us at outreach@jkcf.org. Applicant questions, things like logging in, eligibility, specific application, parts, please call our call center at 1-800-941-3300 or email us at scholarships@jkcf.org. So those are, I'm going to leave that up because that's important contact information. For the latest information, you should always go to our website to the undergraduate transfer scholarship page to see what webinars there are and resources. We'll actually be uploading a sample application there in PDF form, so you can see the entire application in PDF, but the entire application does have to be done online. And yes, please give us a call or email us as questions arise. One very good question that I see several people asking is about community college faculty representatives. So some of you are at schools where we have a faculty representative, and that basically means that there's somebody at the community college who has agreed to be our outreach liaison and help us recruit students and share details about the scholarship to your community college campus. So we highly encourage you, if you have a community college faculty representative on your campus, to let them know that you are applying applying. We don't need a formal nomination or anything, but it's really good to get their support and let them know, because they communicate directly with us, and can provide some other information about your school, especially if your school has special honors programs or special things about how you calculate, your GPA, things like that, that will help us. We have several hundred faculty reps across the country at the different community colleges. So there's a good chance that you have somebody on your campus who's sort of the designated Cook Scholarship expert. So that's an additional resource for you as an applicant. You can certainly call us, and we encourage you to do that, and email us for verification and for other support. But if there's somebody on your campus who knows about the award, they may even know previous winners of the scholarship too, and can put you in touch with them or give you some guidance, that kind of thing. So we encourage you to do that. Okay, so I'm going to go into Q&A mode, and I see a lot of really, really great questions. So I'm going to just start, and it's not going to be in any specific pattern, but I'm just going to try to respond to as many questions as I can that I see are popular. So one very popular question is, can international students apply to the scholarship? Yes, so as long as the other eligibility criteria are met, our scholarship is for students attending U.S. community colleges or having been recently graduated from U.S. community colleges, planning to attend an accredited four-year college or university in the United States. You do not have to be a permanent resident. We don't have any citizenship requirements. So if you fit the other, eligibility criteria, you are welcome to apply. That said, international students, some students have attended, perhaps equivalent of community college for a short period of time in their home country or native country. Obviously, if their parents are abroad, their finances might be, not your typical W-9s and 1040 tax forms. So please be diligent in getting the documentation that we need to understand your financial situation. If you're submitting anything in a different language other than English, please make sure it is translated. And again, if you need guidance or have any questions, call our call center. It's just a safe bet to make sure that you have everything beforehand. So that's a very good question. Thank you for that. Someone's asking if you need to be nominated by the faculty representative at your two-year community college. No, you do not. Again, in the past, we did have a nomination process to apply to the scholarship. And if you meet the criteria, if you're a community college student, we welcome you to start an account and take the eligibility quiz and apply. And there's no limit to how many people can apply from one community college. So we can have 5 people apply or 50 people apply from one community college, and more than one student from a campus can receive the award. There's no quotas or limits to how many students can get the award. How many students are we looking to admit this year? So in any given year, we're accepting 60 to 90 students. A couple years ago, we took 95. Last year, we took 75. So I anticipate that we'll take a similar number. Some of that is dependent on how, our own scholarship programming, goals and how much room we have, because it's a multi-year award that we're giving. Do students have to reapply for the scholarship every year? No, they do not. All of our scholars do have to submit something called like a scholarship renewal form, where we ask for updated information. And obviously, because financial aid varies every year for most students, there's some paperwork that we ask for, obviously, and we obviously ask for grades and make sure that you remain in good standing, that kind of thing. But you don't have to reapply every year. Once you receive the award, the expectation is that you will get a financial award from us up to $40,000 until you get your bachelor's, up to 3 years. So hopefully that is helpful. Question about dual enrolled students. So if you are a high school student, or you attended high school or community college at the same time, you may be eligible to apply. In most cases, students are eligible. The one thing to note is that if you apply for the undergraduate transfer award and you graduate, you're a high school student effectively that's going to also graduate with an associate's degree, and let's say you get the award, then you are getting the transfer scholarship award. So you may not start your award as a freshman at a four-year college or university. You must start as a transfer student, if that makes sense, because this is a transfer scholarship. So the idea is that you're entering as probably a third year at your four-year college or university, and the award is only for up to 3 years. If you are a dual enrolled student, I would go ahead and maybe call the call center to make sure that to verify eligibility. Also, there's some nuances to what the kind of information that you provide in terms of activities. We want to know what community college activities that you're a part of, not just high school. So that is something to keep in mind. How will you know if your application is complete? So the application is online, and when you're finished with your part, you can click submit, and you will get a verification from us by email to say that your application is complete. If there's any question as to whether your application is complete, please shoot us an email, and our technical staff can verify that for you. All right, other questions? So we have a lot of questions about special about family finances. So again, if you have a special situation that you're unsure of, you can call our call center, and I will keep saying that because there's just too many different situations where we're not going to be able to address. If you have someone in your family that is unavailable, so maybe you have a guardian or a parent who's just not going to be able to complete the application, to complete their financial forms for whatever reason, then we strongly encourage you to let us know why that is, and there is a space in the application for that. And if someone is maybe a little out of the picture or hard to get in touch with, that's the place where you can let us know that information. Sorry, I'm going to put the screen back up on there. Oh, some folks are saying that they're having problems hearing me. So yeah, that might be, so if you're having technical problems, maybe logging out and then maybe logging back in might be helpful. Someone is okay. So I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the questions. Some folks are asking about an application fee. There is no application fee for our scholarship. So if you saw that language somewhere, please let us know. That's not on our website, but there is absolutely no fee to apply for our scholarship. Make sure you do not submit any. There is no place to submit money for our application. Do we encourage students to apply if their GPA is like 3.2, 3.3? So the reason that we have the minimum cutoffs is really because we want to ensure that the students who are competitive for the award are applying, and we know 3.2, 3.3 are, that is an awesome GPA. But we also know that we had over 2,000 applications last year, and they were all from people who had 3.5 or above. A lot of our students, I think the average GPA of our scholarship winners last year was around 3.7, 3.8. So you don't have to have a 4.0 to win the scholarship, but I think 3.5 is our minimum cutoff, just so that we know that you're going to be competitive for the award and you have a chance. So some folks are asking, should I? Their plans are to transfer in the spring of 2017. Should I delay transfer so that I can apply for the scholarship? This is a really difficult question. I as the outreach manager, I always want to see the best and the brightest apply. And there's some great people who want to apply, but if they have spring transfer plans, I do not encourage them to change them. Just because the scholarship is so competitive, and there is no way I can guarantee that you're going to get the scholarship. And if you have plans, that make it best for you to transfer in the spring of 2017, please do not change those plans just to be eligible for this award and delay your, your educational plans. If things were to happen where, you may not transfer and you're still eligible next year, please do apply. But don't change your plans on account of one scholarship. Are we going to record this? Yes, we are recording this webinar, and we're going to upload this so that folks can view it. And we're also holding another one on the 28th. So if you missed that earlier in the presentation, please feel free to go to our website and register for that. When we talk about leadership, are we looking for leadership? That's a good question. On a whole scale or individual scale? I would say individual. I mean, I think leadership, when our selection committee is looking at leadership, it is a very broad and abstract term. There's people who show incredible leadership as heads of their households, in their community. And community might not be a physical community. It could be, there's many different contexts. So, there's not one type of leadership that we're looking for, but I think when we see it, it's pretty clear, and it has to be demonstrated. And it helps a lot if your recommenders, at least one of your recommenders, can see that leadership quality come out in the classroom or in different activities that they've witnessed you in, or that they at least know about. And that's leads into another good question about how do you choose your recommenders. You'll see, when you see the sample app on the website, which should be uploaded in the next couple of days, you'll see the kinds of questions that we're asking our recommenders. And we're really looking, we're asking them the very things that I just shared with you about. We're looking for candidates with persistence and leadership, who have a passion for learning. I mean, this is an academic scholarship. So you want to find faculty members who can comment to those things. We're not going to ask them to write a book about you, but we do want folks to be able to share, a couple of examples. If you're the head of an honor society on your campus, or you started a club on your campus, or you started a support group, or you help other people with, your tutor, or, you're working, right, on top of going to classes, or you're volunteering to read extra journal articles for your class and helping summarize them for people. There's many different ways that you can contribute to leadership and be a leader. So I think, finding faculty who can comment to that, but certainly faculty who can comment to your academic ability as well. What makes an application strong? I think, certainly a complete application. So you'd be surprised at how many people submit, and then there's still pieces that are just incomplete. But I think a strong application is one where, especially in the short answers and the essay questions, we see that this person has a good understanding of what the scholarship is, and really has a good understanding of their goals. We don't expect someone to know, their 10-year plan exactly, but, from everything from, planning for your 4 years. So that section where you tell us about the schools that you want to transfer, for us to be able to see that you did your homework and you really are planning to transfer, because we don't want this scholarship to go to waste. And then also to see that, you have some thoughtful answers about your growth and what community college has done for you, what education means to you, and just seeing that passion. I think a strong applicant is someone where we just really see that it's very clear you have a passion for learning, a curiosity for just growing, and again, I mentioned that as one of our last selection criteria, but this desire to do good and share with others. I think Cook Scholars are folks who are not only interested in bettering themselves, but bettering the world around them in whatever way that is. And again, there is no magical, right answer for our application. I think it's, sharing your personal story and telling us how that fits in with the definition of being a Cook Scholar. Our motto at the foundation is to think big, work hard, and achieve. And I think, every single student that, is a strong applicant for the foundation, demonstrates those qualities. Can you apply if you've already transferred? Unfortunately, no, and we don't. And people are also asking about graduate scholarships that are standalone. So the graduate funding that I mentioned earlier is only available to Cook Scholars. So we have a few other scholarship programs. Some students enter with us, as high school seniors, some even as middle school students. But the graduate school funding is only available to Cook Scholars who have graduated college using our scholarship. So it's which is a nice benefit. It's not available to the outside community. What if you later on apply to a school you didn't list on your application? That's fine, especially given, we have that happen every year. If you receive the award, we will, certainly let you know, and then that's when we'll speak with you about, what your 4-year college options are, and that's, and review all those things. Um, when we say the ceiling for income is $95,000, is that gross or right? So we generally say that $95,000, or below it, you qualify to apply for the scholarship. uh, we don't want to nitpick, but yes, you can go by your adjusted gross income if you're submitting tax forms. We know not everyone has to file tax forms, but given how much they make. So, you can use your judgment. I mean, that number should, whatever figure you have available in terms of what your family annual income is, it should be under $95,000 a year. You can go by AGI, you can go by another figure if you don't file taxes. If you don't have taxes or 1040s or the typical documents that we ask for in the financial form, we do have some guidance and language in the financial section about what to upload, and we do require that you must submit information. There's some examples of alternative documentation that you might upload are things like Section 8 vouchers or food stamp information or salary information, pay stubs, that kind of thing, if you did not file traditional taxes. Is there a age limit or requirement for the scholarship? No, we do not have any age restriction at all on the scholarship. So some folks who have gone into the application are asking about word counts and limits for the essay questions. So there should be, I think we note character counts. So I would say in general, when I give advice about filling any scholarship application, not just ours, try to get close to the word count as possible. You don't want to overwrite. Please don't overwrite, because actually I think it might cut off. But you don't want to overwrite. Don't write 500 words when we're only asking for 150. It is an exercise in being concise, but don't write too short answers either. I think that goes back to my point of following through. We have some students who sort of start a response, but they don't really give a full answer. They don't spend a lot of time crafting their responses. So you should use as much of space that is available, and please adhere to the text, the character and word counts. So I'll take a few more questions. Some students are saying that if you are deemed as a dependent, because technically you're dependent, but you haven't received financial support from your families. Yes, there is space. There's actually a good deal of space in the financial form. So please do answer the questions about your family situation. Honestly, and how it is technically. If both parents are still living, that kind of thing, go ahead and answer that. There's space later on as you submit your financial information where you can say, yes, this is my parents' situation, but they are not contributing to my education, or I'm basically independent in terms of financing my education, that kind of thing. Please let us know that. You don't have to worry about how you categorize yourself so much as making sure that you answer the questions as they are. Work experience. So there's a good question about how to reflect work experience. Please do include work experience on the application. That is very important to us. I think that is, we give great value to that in terms of persistence and leadership and all those qualities that we're looking for. And we realize, because a lot of our students have to provide funds for their own tuition, that kind of thing, that you do have to work. So So actually, yeah, so please do make sure that you find a place on the application to write that if that is important to you and that is something that is part of your experience. We know that obviously because some students are working, they might not be able to participate in as many activities on campus. So that's also helpful for us to know. Is attending Scholars Weekend a requirement of the program? Yes. So I mentioned earlier that all of our scholarship recipients are invited to a big orientation weekend here in the DC area. It is a requirement. There's very few situations where there might be a conflict. It is a very important part of the scholarship that scholars meet each other. And trust me, it's a great time. So you don't want to miss it. And generally, if there's conflicts, then we will work with, scholars to figure it out. But I can't really think of too many situations where scholars have not attended Scholars Weekend. And it's a big part of sort of understanding, how to maximize the award and those kinds of things. Can you there's some questions about previous scholarship winners. So if you actually go to our website and go to the news press release section, we do have a press release every spring announcing all of our scholarship recipients for the Higher Ed Awards. So you should be able to find the students' names and the schools that they came from, and also the schools that they're now attending with the award. So you should be able to find them for the last couple of years. We don't have one place where we publish everything, and that is something that we've been asked before. So maybe that's something that we'll work towards. We just haven't been able to put that all together. There are some schools that have had multiple recipients from this for the scholarship in different years. And if you ever have a question about that, you could always talk to your faculty representative on your community college campus, and they can reach out to us, and we can try to find out for you. Again, this is a very highly individualized scholarship. We accept applications from all community colleges, and we don't have any quotas. So in any given year, there might be one winner, or you might be the first winner of the scholarship from your campus. So please don't think that we have specific requirements as to who can receive the scholarship from which campus. So are there other resources that we can provide? So if you go to our transfer website, which has our application information, we do have some information about the transfer process. We know some students, they might not be eligible for our award, but you're still looking to transfer. And we have our program staff have put together some nice materials. We also have some information about applying to selective schools and how that can be advantageous for transfer scholars or transfer students. So please do take a look at that. Our program staff are constantly working on creating content that can be helpful for many students. So please visit our website and stay tuned for other information. We have a question about, can an advisor from a different school that you've worked closely with be the one to provide a recommendation? Technically, yes, I think so. You want to make sure that the recommender is someone who can comment to sort of your learning experience and how you are as a student. So, again, you want to choose the best person possible, but it doesn't technically have to be someone at your current school. Normally, though, we would recommend that it's someone from your current school. So if you went to 2 different community colleges, try to get the most recent and someone who's who can speak to your academic experience. Okay, we are closing in on the 1 hour mark, and there are a lot of really good questions. We do save all of our questions. If we did not get to your question, please reach out to our call center. We know that there's limited time, and we're really sorry that if we didn't get to your question. But we encourage you to continue with working on your applications. We will send a recording of this to all of the folks who registered. So if even if you weren't able to, if you came into the webinar a little bit later and missed the early part, we will send this out to everybody. And stay tuned to our website for any updates. Again, the deadline for the application is October 25th. So, we still have a little bit over a month, and we wish you all the best of luck as you apply. And thank you so much in your interest for the scholarship.